Hello and welcome to the OXM Report, brought to you by Official Xbox Magazine. My name is Matt Lees, and this week I flew over to PAX in Seattle to speak to Fez creator Phil Fish.
My name is Phil Fish. I am a game designer at Polytron, and we're working on a game called Fez for Xbox Live.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just had a quick go on it, and it's really, really cool. Obviously, if you've seen videos of it, the idea of the game is you can switch the kind of the axis of the world.
It's a 3D world, but you only get to experience it from 4 distinct 2D points of view. So at any time in the game, you get to rotate the camera in 90-degree increments, but you only ever play like a flattened 2D version of that structure.
Yeah.
The movement and gameplay is strictly 2D, but the world is 3D.
Yeah, and I mean, I imagine it's always the difficulty of anything that comes out on Xbox Live Arcade now, which is looking like it's going to be really good. You immediately get people going, oh, it's going to be a bit like Braid and stuff, and actually it feels like it feels very, very different from Braid, but also it feels like it has the potential to be just as impressive and just as sort of...
I hope so. Yeah, well, Braid was definitely one of those games that kind of showed everybody that you can make a game like that on XBLA. We were already working on Fez when it came out, but you know, it had a similar 5-year dev cycle, and it does share some themes. Like the gameplay has nothing to do, but yeah, we've got the Braid comparison a couple times. Yeah, I do hope that it does well and that it catches on, and that we don't just get like bad dashboard placement and then we're forgotten about.
So the little guy with the Fez,
yeah.
I mean, can you tell us a bit more about him? Is he...
Yeah, so his name is Gomez, and he's this little 2D creature living in a 2D village, and he thinks that the world is 2D. And one day, it is revealed to him that the world is actually 3-dimensional. And he leaves his village and starts exploring this 3D world. And that's what the game is about. It's a big, open, non-linear world, kind of like a Metroidvania, for you to explore. But it's a Metroidvania that like rooms connect in every direction. It's like a volumetric Metroidvania. And I tried to structure the world kind of like the first Zelda, in that there are all these main areas, but you can play them in any order. There isn't really a critical path or a right way to do things. It's just, here's this world, it's full of nooks and crannies and secrets and things like that, exploring.
And it's funny, it feels like a real, like, the mechanic of being able to switch the world around feels really, really fresh, really new. And it's actually as complicated to get your head around as I thought it might be. I thought it might be a bit like, oh, I don't get it, what am I doing? But it just makes sense straight away.
Well, we spent about 2 years at the beginning basically just prototyping level design. We had this mechanic from the very beginning, and we thought we were in production. That's what we were calling it, but really we were prototyping and not really realizing it. Because it took about 2 years to find the right formula for level design. So I'm glad that you think that it's approachable, because that was our worry, that people could not be able to wrap their head around it. And it would be just like too hard to parse these environments in 3D and play them in 2D. But we spent a lot of time just making sure that level design flow is kind of like readable. Because it's important that you have like this 3D map in your head of this 2D environment, so you know where things are. That was probably the hardest thing, to figure out level design and make it approachable. Because we didn't want to make like a super hardcore game. It's very simple, like there's no enemies, there's no threats in the game, there's very little danger. It's very relaxing and zen. So we didn't want to have any kind of frustration or it had to be like smooth everywhere.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, it's really refreshing, having spent the past few weeks playing games which are very much like bump, bump, bump. Fast-paced, dark, gritty, hardcore, and I really love those intense games that really take your full attention, but in a way there's something just really calming about it. So the music and the art style, it's kind of relaxing in a way that games don't usually pull off.
I'm glad you think so.
It should be coming out later this year?
Later this year, that's what we're hoping for. It's actually somewhat out of our control, the exact release date, but yeah, it should be winter.
Cool. We'll keep an eye on Xbox Live Arcade this winter. It's looking like it's going to be one of the best Xbox Live games of the year, if not ever.
Okay.